And hello, everyone. Welcome to November's Web Development with Material UI workshop. My name is Ranjan, and I will be your host today. So let me just get my screen sharing. Can everyone see my screen on the stream? Okay. So now, without any further ado, let's get started. So just quickly before we begin, I just want to make sure that you have Node.js installed, and uh, and we'll proceed from there once everyone has it installed. Are we good to go? Cool. Okay. Now let's just briefly talk about what Material UI is. It's a UI library based on the React framework, which you can use to make your components look nicer. So now let's get started and create our project in the terminal. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to my terminal and real quick to make sure you have Node installed. Just do npm-v. Where's it? Node-v. I think it's one of the. Yeah, it's Node-v. So if you see a version number, you should be good. Okay, so now that's taken care of. I'm just going to change my directory to the folder that I developed stuff on. You can do this as if you wish. And now we're going to create the React app using the npx command. Just do npx create -react -app, and let's just call it MUI landing page. Did everyone get that command? Is it too small? Well, let's make it bigger then. Is that much better? Okay, is everyone on the same page? So I'm going to run npx create react app, and this will create the React application that we're going to use, that we're going to create today. Anyone having any issues so far? Okay, it's just installing all the dependencies. And if it looks like this, you're good to go. So now I'm going to cd. I'm just going to change directory into the MUI. If you're on, one trick you can do is just do mu and then just hit tab, and and it'll fill out the rest. And if you have Visual Studio Code installed, you can just do code dot, and it'll open it in your IDE. And I make sure that you have this access to this Google Drive folder. It's at bit.ly/nov-assets. Say bit.ly-nov-assets, so you can get the image and JSON file that we need for today's workshop. So now, just to make sure that everything is running, I'm just going to open a new terminal here. Press npm, type in npm start. And if all is well, you should see this page. Does everyone have it? Does everyone see the screen on their screen? Okay, so can we move on? No one have any questions or anything so far? We just set up the React application for our project. Nothing too major so far. So now what I want you to do is So from that Google Drive folder, I want you to download that Google Drive folder to your computer and just open it here and just drag the reviews.json into the source folder and drag the image. If you haven't guessed by now, we're making a landing page for Tobor. Just drag that into the public folder. All good? There was if you don't know where this image and file is, it's at bit.ly-november-assets. And just to drag it into your public folder, drag the image into the public folder and drag the reviews.json into the source folder. Okay, so now that we have all our dependencies set up, I'm just going to shut this off for now. And I'm going to go to Material UI's website. That is mui.com. And I'm going to install Material UI to this project. So just if you go to mui.com, you should see this link. Just copy that and go back to your terminal. Make sure you're in the same directory as your project and paste in the npm install and hit run. And it should install Material UI to your project. And to verify that that actually worked, I'm just going to my package.json file, and you should see MUI-material right here. Awesome. So for the people just walking in here, just make sure you have Node.js installed and have these 3 links handy. Awesome. So now let's actually make sure that Material UI worked. So to import Material UI, actually I forgot one step. So if you navigate back to Material UI's website at mui.com, I'm just going to docs real quick so you can see the documentation. And just go to components, go to typography. We need to import the font so that we have the Material UI aesthetic, if you will. So I'm just going to copy this CSS link tag, and I'm going to my index.html file, and make sure you're in the head of your index.html file, and just you can put it here, I guess, and just paste it in, and can rename the from React app to whatever you want. Just gonna call it Tobor landing page. So that's what we're going to be creating. We're going to be using this UI library to create a landing page for Tobor, the delivery robot. So now I'm going to go into app.js and make sure that Material UI imported successfully. So you saw here that I used the typography component. Where did that go? I used the typography component to get that CSS link. So I'm just going to import typography from MUI/material/typography semicolon, and we don't need anything inside this div, so I'm just going to get rid of it. And typography is basically like your H1, H2, H3. It's like your headers and text. It's like a type of thing like in HTML. So typography, and it has two parameters that you need: the variant and I believe it's the component. Yeah, variant. So here you pass in H1, H2, H3, H4, so on and so on. If you want to see the list of all the available options, you have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, and so on. So I'm just going to variant H1 equals div, and I'm just going to type Tobor. Everyone, I'm just going to give you a few seconds. I'm going to give you a few minutes to copy down the code. It's not much. Everyone have the code copied down? Just like give me a thumbs up or something when you're good. You could just get rid of the unused imports. And if we're all on the same page, I'm just going to type in npm start again in my terminal. And if all is well, okay, so it says module not found, can't resolve emotion-react in the users folder. If that happens, then just exit out of the server and just do npm install at emotion-react. And let's try that again. And now we're missing one more thing, emotion styled. npm install at emotion/styled. So just to be clear, I just did npm install. So whatever it gave me the error saying it can't resolve it, I just typed in npm install whatever it was it couldn't resolve. And now I'm going to do npm start one more time. And there you have it. You should be able to see a meet toolbar like that on your project. Let me know if you don't or if you need help. Is everyone all good? Anyone have any issues or anything so far? If there's nothing else, I will move on. If nothing else, I'll just move on. So now let's give Tobor some text, like a description. So let's type in another typography component. Variant equals body one. Same structure as previous, except we're going to paste in. So we're just going to modify it to have body one instead of h1 because we want the body text. So I'm just going to say Tobor is ETD's just the delivery robot. Comments. Oh, you can just type in whatever you want here. I'm just making this about Tobor. Use this in the service to deliver food and packages. Here. And then I just saved it and it should compile successfully and you should be able to see that text as well. Is everyone on the same page? Don't need to be this word for okay. So if nothing else, I'm going to be moving on. So I'm going to next. What I'll do is right now all we have is a lot of text, and that's not very exciting. So I'm just going to add another component this time. I'm going to add the avatar component to our website so we can see an image of Tobor, which you should have gotten by going to this link. Well, once again, repeating it, it's bit.ly/November-assets. You will not be able to do the next step if you don't have the image here in your public file. Okay, so I'm just going, in order to add an avatar, I'm just going to import avatar from MUI/material/avatar. Now I'm going to type in avatar over here. And if we go to the documentation, that's how it's, you add the alt text and then the source to the image. And you can also add some styling to adjust the width and height of it. So with that said, just going to avatar alt equals Tobor. I believe it was source. Here it was source equals /public/Tobor.png. Just right file, okay. And you should be able to see that tiny picture of Tobor on the corner, which is not what we want. But let's make it a little bit more visible by adding a styling component like this and just the width to just go back to the documentation. You always have the documentation handy. It's useful. So it's an angle bracket, and inside the angle bracket you need width of, let's try 200 first, and height of 200. And don't worry about the formatting. That's the last portion of this workshop. We're going to add everything in a grid and make it look nice. For now, it's not going to look great. And it's bothering me that the app.css is in the way. So just I'm in app.css right. Okay, first, here's all the code so far. Okay, so now I will be moving on to the CSS file. We don't need any of this because we don't have the app React logo in there anymore. So just going to get rid of that. And I'm going to get rid of the text align center as well. Add a padding of 1 rem. And save it. And now this is what your website should look like at this point. The image, the big heading that says Meet Tobor, and a little description about it. Does anyone have any question? Thumbs up, thumbs down, or just observing anything? Are we all good? Okay, so now I will be moving on. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to add some reviews to our website. So we're going to add some reviews of customers that used Tobor before, And in order to do that, we need the card component, which looks something like this. But ours will be slightly different from this. So this is an example of a material UI card component, except ours is going to look a lot simpler. So remember that reviews.json file that I told you about earlier? You're going to need that now just to make sure that's in your source folder. And I'm going to, so we need to import a few, we're going to import a lot of things right now, so pay close attention. Right now I'm going to import card from MUI/material/card. I'm going to import card action. Let me check in the documentation. I believe it was called card content. Import card content from MUI/material/card content. Have these two import statements. And just one more, import rating, because we're going from MUI/material/rating. So that's all of the import from Material UI. And from our project, you just need to import one more thing, import reviews from /reviews.json. So make sure you have all of these. For now, all we have is a lot of import statements. Just we've imported the card component, we've imported the card content component, rating, and review. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of information fetching from this here JSON file. So you can see here that we have an ID, name, the rating, and the user reviews. So in order to do this, I'm just going to add some space here. And we're going to add angle brackets because we're going to be writing some JavaScript code. And then we're going to be doing reviews.map parentheses. And we're going to be having, we can just have another variable called user review. So this is in parentheses as well. And an equal sign and percent. This is just the JavaScript and parentheses, open and close quotes. So now we're going to have the card. Card content. So this is the structure of a card. It'll have card and card content. Let me just add a styling. If you want to set the width of this, so I'm going to go here and see that this has a min width of 275. I'm going to have a max width of 240. How does that look? So it has the SX tag equals angle bracket, max width equals 245. Card content. So we're just going to have another typography component. Typography variant equals, let's make this an H5. And then we're just going to do another, instead of angle brackets, we're going to have the person's name here. So that is user review. And if you go to the reviews.json file, it is the .name field. this. And then we're going to have the review component. No, not review. Rating value equals single bracket user review rating keep only body 2, and I'm just here. I'm going to do user review dot. I believe it's called user review. Yeah, so this is the code so far for. Wait a second. What's that? So if this works, it's gonna hit save. We should be able to see 3 cards. We have the picture of Tobor, a meeting, and 3 cards. I'm just gonna give you a second to copy down the code. Yeah. Import statements. Just having the reviews and just having the import statements because someone in person wanted to see them. Did you get them all? Okay. This is the code for the card. Okay, so let's just have another heading to let people know what this is about. Typography variant equals. Let's make this an H3 with the component div. So now there's a picture of Tobor heading, text, our new H3 heading, and some reviews. So here's the code once again. Just make sure that we're all on the same page. Is everyone all good? It's awfully quiet person. Just waiting for a few minutes so you can get caught up. All right, can we move on? Okay, we're moving on. So for the last thing we're going to add to our website, like content-wise, we're going to add a button. But I want to do this in a different file, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to click on my source folder, hit the plus, and I'm going to just type in button. Just not button. Let's just call it cpa.js because this is a call to action. So, and in this file, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to my app.js and copy the typography. Actually, no, we don't need copy. Just going to copy one of the import statements, import button from dash button. Now we're going to import grid from at MUI dash material dash grid. React tell you declare functions as you do function in all caps. And export default CPA. And now just to make sure we're getting so now we're going to set up the grid. So we're just going to type in a return statement. I'm going to have the grid. So let's go back to the documentation and look at the grid. So you go to layout, grid. So this is how the grid works. It has a container and some items. And here's a tool I like on this thing. So there's an interactive tool that allows you to visualize how you want the items to be laid out. So we do want a row, they do uncentered. So that's and it generates the code for you. So I'm just going to take that and put it in like code. Just going to auto format. In Visual Studio Code, you can do Control-Shift-P and format document, and that looks a lot nicer. So now let's import the button. So the way that looks is, so if you go back here and go to the usage, that's all it is. Their button. And if you want different types of button, you go to the button documentation. This is the styling for button. You can have it as text, as a contain with like a blue outline, or outline where it's like with the blue border instead. So button, I'm gonna have a, wait, first what I need to do is, we're making this an item of a grid, so I'm gonna put grid item. See, let's put some spacing here too. Put spacing of 2, and I'm gonna add a button variant equals contained. I'm just gonna download Starship for iOS. And I'm just going to take the grid item, copy and paste it one more time, and just change that to download Starship for Android. And I'm going to save my call to action.js file. I'm going to go back here. Just going to add another heading. We're going to add a call to action heading. So just going to take this and copy paste it once again. Tab over a few times. Just going to add a H2. So you can just have like a nice call to action here. Use Tobor today to get your next delivery. Get your next on campus delivery. I'm going to go back to call to action.js in case I went too fast over here. This is in cta.js, by the way. So now one last thing I'm going to import that file. So import call to action from /cta.js. Then I'm just going to go over here and do call to action /. And if all is well, we should be able to see two buttons. So this is the layout of our website currently. We have the picture of Tobor, we have the heading, we have some text, we have some reviews, and we have a really popping call to action with two buttons. But right now they don't really do anything, and that's not exciting. So I'm going to go back to cta.js and add some more things. So I'm going to add an href to this one, which will just be tinyurl.com/starship-ios target equals blank https. So if we go to tinyurl.com/starship-ios, this is the link that we get. It's the link so that people can use Starship on their iPhone, and to make sure that Android is also included in this group, I'm just going to change that last endpoint to Android with blank target. So this is the code so far this is the recent code for cta.js. Just a grid with two items, two buttons. And now let's make sure they work. When I refresh, the server refreshed. So this is the code currently. Actually, I'm going to shut down the server for now. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. I'm just going to briefly walk back through what we've done so far. So this import statement was always there. This import.forward/app.css was always there. That's how we have the padding, nothing too much. And when this is all the components from Material UI that we've imported, we worked with the typography component for text, such as the headings and the body text. We've used the avatar component to add the image. We used the card component to create the card for the reviews and the card content to display the content of the reviews. The rating component, which allows you to display them in stars out of 5. Our reviews.json file, which we've imported all of these reviews, and a call to action from cta.js. And if we walk through the code, we have the avatar for Tobor. We have the heading for Tobor. We have body text. We have another heading. We have this loop where we're looping through the JSON file. Then we're accessing each individual element of it, and we're rendering it as a card component with the typography variant H5, a rating review, and a typography variant body 2, component div, and another heading for a call to action, and the actual buttons to perform the call to action. And let's just see what our website looks like currently. Just click terminal, and I typed npm start. And right now you can see that our website doesn't really it looks good. Like the components look good, but as you can see here, there's no spacing between the cards. Everything is like stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to show you a way that we can make everything centered and look good. So I've already hinted at it earlier with the cta.js, but we're going to be using the grid. We're going to create one big grid for everything in app.js, and wrap everything with a grid item. The only difference is this is a grid of row. We want a grid of column. So let's import grid. Import grid from MUI/material/grid. I'm gonna have grid. You just copy this from you have the grid container. You just copy all the attributes from here. Save some time. Actually, that's not a good idea. So, except we want to change the direction from row to column. We're justifying it in the center. We're aligning it in the center, and we can always experiment. We can always change this, but let's just stick with 5 for now, and close off the thing. There's no corresponding closing tag. I'm just going to put the closing tag right here. And we're going to wrap every item inside we're going to wrap every item with 2 tags. Grid item, take this closing tag, and I'm going to put it here. I'm going to do that one, and then I'm just going to take the grid item from this one, and I'm going to copy and paste it here, and type in the closing tag. I'm going to type in grid item once again. Grid. And I think you get the general idea. We're just wrapping each item inside the grid. This is where it could get a little bit tricky, so just pay close attention. It's the same thing. We're just gonna do grid item. And just take the closing tag and put it right here. And it's good practice if you're looping through a JSON file like that. Have the key and just do user review.id. That's why I have an ID. It's just good practice when you're looping through something to give each item that you're rendering a key. And just 2 more. We're almost there. Grid item. /grid. And 1 more. Grid item. /grid. And I'm going to save it. And since the server was already running, it's just refreshed because there were some changes. And you can see those changes have reflected. Just like this, everything that was once all the way to the left and not looking right is now spaced out, and it looks nice and futuristic. And the buttons work. They're functional. So this is the final result. And just kind of close the server. Don't need it. And just so it's easier for me to read later, I'm just going to format this document as well. And I'm going to let you guys copy the code. So you can see it's not too terribly long, and we were able to make a great looking website without really worrying about the CSS and making it look good. Material UI has a lot of good libraries and a lot of good things that you can use to make your website look stylish and functional, as you saw from the project that we've created tonight. Does Anyone have any questions? Is the project is the project showing up as it is on your computers? Any errors? Is anyone experiencing any errors? Is everything good? How are we doing at home? So this is just, I'm just gonna, let's just walk through the code one more time, just so that you guys can get a solid understanding of everything. So what we've done is created a basic material UI application for Tobor, which which I think was a good idea. And we have the div from the original React app from default, and we wrapped everything inside a grid that is in the column direction. Everything is center justified and center aligned, and there's a spacing of 5. And every item in this grid is a component that we've created today. We've created the avatar component, so you can see the image of Tobor on our website. We have the typography variant. We have a H1 typography to see Tobor's, like a meet Tobor heading. We have a body. We have a paragraph about. We have a description about Tobor. We have another heading where we just introducing that that's the review section. We're looping through the JSON file, this reviews.json file, and we've created a grid of items, each of which has a card, and each of which has card, whose content is the user's review, the user's rating, and the user's actual text review, all wrapped in typographies and ratings. And you can get the general idea. This is the grid item of the call to action heading, and this is the grid item for our call to action button. And if we go to our call to action.js, there's a grid within a grid so that we can get the two buttons side by side. So I think that's all I have. If no one else has any questions. Yes, we're streaming this live, and that should be available afterwards. All right then. This is. What do you guys think of the website? Does it look good? Good is subjective, but does it look nice to you? And you can tailor this to any landing page you have for any project that you've created or any product that you're trying to sell. This is a good baseline. You can always have an image of your product, some text introducing your product. If your product is already for sale, having user reviews and call to action to get more customers for your product. Just general, simple stuff. How is the audience at home doing?
Sounds like they're good.
Okay, so I think we're done here. I think the recording will be available, and so will the code repository, so you can compare my result with yours and see if you've missed anything and any missing imports. Once again, in the beginning, if the things aren't working, there was an issue. You needed to npm install two things: the emotion/react and emotion/styled, so we could get things running, and the MUI/material, which is the library that we've used today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for coming.
Before you leave, make sure to check in with me so we can count on my question points.